SALI is a nonprofit legal data standard that is both free and open source, and it's being used by some of the largest organizations in the world, such as legal research and legal technology companies, by document management systems, by some of the largest law firms in the world, and some of the largest corporations in the world that are clients. This video will discuss some of the reasons why SALI has become so popular.
If everybody can come around a standard, that's going to make it a lot easier, because now when we're pulling data from this source, from this source, from this source, it's all going to be coming in and we don't have to renormalize that data. We use SALI to look at all the possible document types that are out there and have we accounted for those in our system. So both our internal documents, but also external document types. The SALI identifiers helps make it a lot easier, and it helps make our system more robust. We're not going to have to come back in and renormalize all of our data here. Crawl, walk, run, right? And so we're starting small. Right now, we're looking at about 30 to 50 document types to catalog internally in our own DMS system. We can look at SALI and say, okay, this is going to map into this type of motion. This is going to map into this type of discovery document. And so that makes sure that, one, we have this somewhat future-proofing going on, but also as an attorney, you think you know everything and you know every document that exists, but there's 49 other states that I've never practiced in. There's a whole lot of other document types that are out there. And so having a more authoritative source that you can go to and say, oh yeah, I totally forgot about these evidentiary motions.
Is SALI missing anything that you were counting?
To be fair, we were relying probably more on SALI than our own internal documents. So I think we might be doing it somewhat in the inverse, to start with SALI as the authoritative source, as opposed to starting from ours and working from the ground up. SALI covers so much that these are really generally things we care about anywhere, these types of motions and these types of document types. A project that we're working on this year in 2023 is to start analyzing our claims in more detail. Claims data is just more difficult to locate and extract. So that's, I think, where SALI provides an advantage, because if we identify a claim and we tag it with the SALI identifier, then that opens up opportunities for us when we integrate data from third-party sources that also use the SALI IDs for us to have better integration and normalization. SALI is great because it's opening up the opportunity for data normalization across all of the legal industries, so that we're all speaking the same language. I can tell you our experience universally. I can say, okay, here are the documents that we did, here was the resolution, here were the claims, those are all going to be standardized. That opportunity for normalization is huge, both internally, because then all of our data is standardized, but then, everybody's talking about APIs, everybody's talking about pulling in third-party data, and the biggest challenge with third-party data is standardizing or normalizing that data to match yours. So it's all great to have 1 million records coming in here from a third party and 1 million records internally, but who's going to match those up? If you're already SALI compliant and you can get the data into a SALI compliant format, it gets a lot easier, because then you just need to look at the outliers. You need to look at that 10 to 20% that doesn't fit into the mold for whatever reason. The only thing I'd highlight in closing about SALI is this normalization that's going to become more and more important. The biggest challenge when you're trying to integrate two discrete data sources is that normalization and that standardization. So every industry, I think, goes through standardization so that they can have interoperability. So sooner or later, everyone is likely going to be on SALI. And so the advantage is to move more quickly, so that 10 years from now, you're not having to do 10 times the amount of data standardization to get on it. You can either go willingly or not, but you're going to end up going towards this at some point. So the sooner, the better, I would recommend.
SALI is important to the industry because this is how we are going to scale. This is how we're going to scale to do our work internally. Right now, creating network effects in our industry is incredibly hard, because we don't have a set of standards that help us interoperate with each other. And if we can start introducing that with SALI, then it gives us a path to actually addressing the business needs. We need better ways of ingesting the work product that we buy from law firms and weaving that into our information sets. Like, we literally just need better ways to classify the things that are happening, so that we can start fitting all of that information into our brains. And if we don't have a backbone that we can start hanging information on and doing ref counts and aggregating things and having that look like some kind of logical structure, then we literally go beyond our ability to understand. Those are just a few examples of things that SALI can give us.
How can the SALI API standard help with that interoperability?
It can make our ability to ingest data feeds so much faster, getting into a more common framework for actually sending workloads out and bringing them back. And we think the future looks more like weaving many different services together to solve problems. And so again, having that interoperability means we can weave more things together faster and have that probably all be a more resilient substrate.
One of those interoperabilities is, of course, law firms. Can you tell me about how you and Microsoft would like your firms to be using SALI?
We want the work product that comes to us from our law firms to not just flow through good old-fashioned email. We want that to start coming through structured systems so that we can build on that great work really at scale. And one of the things that will help that process is if we can start having the work product that comes in be decorated with SALI standard metadata.
And how would you respond to a law firm that says, I'm thinking about implementing it, I'm kind of on the fence, but how would you respond to it?
I think the best argument is, I wouldn't even start off with implement it. I'd say, be curious. Start off with what is happening there, because I don't expect that I can convince anybody to think differently. But if you start looking at this and you start seeing like, oh, wow, this can solve problems that we have internally, but you also start seeing like, thinking about how we would apply this would actually help us create more value for our customers, for consumers of the work that we create. I think that's probably where I would say, don't necessarily take our word for it. Go be curious. Go take a look. Think about the problems that your customers and your clients are talking to you about and start to say like, does this connect some dots on that?
Any closing thoughts on SALI, its implementation, and why people should have that curiosity?
Because it's really interesting. What is happening is a little bit revolutionary. It is a way for us to transition from one epoch of how we have done work to another. And having an opportunity to get in early and lead is really exciting. And I would hope that people who want to make a positive dent on our industry and our world would see this as an amazing opportunity. And getting in now is a chance to actually be part of the leadership and to shape this work so that it serves us all most effectively. And I would say don't wait. Like, go be curious. Get into it. Get into the mix, because this is going to be fun.